Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, a guy who just finished boarding school so he could learn how to get on an airplane, J.P. Shadrick.
And welcome in. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, Thursday, October 3rd, Week 5 of the National Football League. And we've got a busy 2 hours ahead. First hour is Happy Hour, of course. Second hour, the Doug Pederson Show at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. The Jags, of course, searching for that first win of the season. It is Throwback Week. Surprised Logs isn't wearing his old jersey tonight. Coughlin into the pride of the Jaguars at halftime this Sunday, and we'll have the head coach in studio. We'll hear from Doug Pederson coming up at 5 o'clock. We're on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. And the Colts-Jaguars game is presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. J.P. Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, JP. Are we having Coach Coughlin on tonight? Is that what you were saying?
No. He's being inducted into the pride of the Jaguars. I don't know if you've heard or not.
I did hear that.
Okay.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing him Saturday night. I think we're going to have a dinner.
Oh, cool.
With all the legends, I guess is what they're calling us.
Air quotes. Yep, yeah, that's fine. I'm kidding, of course. Right, that'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, there's legends and then there's ex-players. And I don't know if we all fall into the category of legends.
Which one you asked?
Maybe in our own minds.
No, that'll be great, man. It's always a fun, I'm sure, a fun event, right?
It is. It's good, and the team takes very good care of us as far as some of the events and the dinner and how they get treated on game day. The guys that are all come in, it's cool. It's very cool. Excited to see everybody because, it's kind of hard sometimes when it's early in the season to get everybody back because a lot of the guys are affiliated with football in some way, shape, or form.
Either coaching or whatever.
Yeah, coaching
right?
or, whether it be high school or college or pro. And obviously if it's pro, it's very difficult unless all of a sudden somebody's bye week absolutely coincides with this week, like the Detroit Lions and Mark Brunell. Maybe we'll see Bruni. I don't know.
Maybe so.
I hope so.
Maybe so.
Yeah, I hope so.
That'll be fun.
So, but I'm looking forward to it. And, there's, typically about 30 guys that usually come back, and a lot of guys aren't going far. They're already here in town. It's just all of a sudden they come out of the woodwork for this.
It'll be good to see Coach Coughlin. I got a chance to be around him a little bit earlier this week at the Wolfson Children's Hospital visit that Cam Little, the kicker, and Ross Madison, the long snapper, attended. And he's excited. You can tell that, the days are kind of crawling. They did some media stuff recently. He's like, all right, we're past all the media stuff, and now it's starting to hit him, I think.
Well, I'm excited for him. I mean, look, he deserves to be up there. He's the one who essentially built this franchise from the ground up. Obviously, Wayne Weaver is a guy that was very instrumental in all of that, and a lot of the founding partners and the people that worked diligently to get the franchise here in Jacksonville. Everybody deserves a lot of credit. But Coughlin was the face of the franchise for however many years it was. A long time. And very successful, went on to win Super Bowls. Great man. What he's done in our community and continues to do in our community is amazing. Love him.
95 through 02. There you have it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, 2 Super Bowls with the Giants a little bit later. We've got plenty of time for that. We'll get back to that a little bit later. Of course, that's at halftime coming up. But can we get to halftime with a lead? Can we get to the end of the game with a lead?
Can we keep talking about Tom Coughlin?
We can come back to that. We got to get to football, and the Jags are 0-4, and looking for traction, I guess, is a nice way to say what's going on right now. And head coach Doug Pederson Wednesday was asked about reports from the outside that he had apparently lost the locker room.
I talk to these guys every day. I see them every day. And no, I have not lost the locker room. I think these guys have done everything I've asked. They continue to play and practice hard and battle, and it's a good group. It's a good group. The right leaders in there, and they know what we need to do, and they're not making excuses for it, and I'm not going to make excuses, and we just got to go do it.
All right, that's the head coach. Full press conference available at Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. What, you're buying into this lost locker room stuff, and how do you know when that might have happened? Did you ever have that as a player that you guys, oh, gosh, we're done with this guy?
Yeah, there was an instance early in my career that our locker room was not a big fan of a coach, and you could say that the locker room kind of was done with the coach, so to speak. But I don't see that Doug has lost this locker room. I mean, I think if you see effort that is dwindling or is not there, then I think you could make a case for that. On top of that, the story that was written from a guy that's not even on the beat. He's on the exterior kind of looking in. So I don't really understand why that story came about. But, the reality is that you just got to win football games, because when you don't win football games, that kind of talk exists. I mean, that's just the reality of professional sports. You win, and then everything is better. Everything is rosier, and everything is cheerier and funner.
And they're not that far away. At least last week, they were on the doorstep of a win again. Yeah, I can say that, right? The scores indicate that.
But
for 3 of the 4 weeks.
There's 2 ways to look at it. And look, you've been in 3 out of 4 games. Well, or you could look at it and with maybe not teal-colored glasses, and from a pessimist viewpoint, you could say, look, when the team had some adversity in Miami, they weren't able to handle it.
Right.
And then in week 2 against Cleveland, you let a bad Cleveland team score on 3 consecutive drives, and you didn't have any fire at a home opener. Oof. And then week 3, you got hammered on primetime.
Yeah.
But this past game, you were in it, but then again, you didn't make the plays to win it. So, I mean, there's kind of 2 ways to look at it, but the reality is that if this team wants to be where it expected to be, you better start digging out of this hole now. You wait another week. I mean, we had the conversation last week going into Houston. Look, you win this game, and then you're 1 game out of first place in the AFC South, and you're right there in the hunt for what your first goal is every year, win the division. You lose, now you're 3 games back, and you're trying to figure out a way to survive. Well, you're in that boat now, okay? You're 3 games back trying to find a way to survive. Well, the only way you survive is that you win your division games, and here you go. You got the Colts coming in, essentially kind of like a homecoming game, right? I mean, you've been very successful against the Colts for a long period of time here in Jacksonville, and it's a weekend that was selected to have the throwback uniforms. Coughlin goes into the pride of the Jaguars. All these things are set up because you've had great success against the Colts. You better win this one, because if you think it's loud, okay, and conversations about, has the coach lost the locker room, and is Trevor worth a $275 million extension? If you think it's loud now, wait until you lose at home against the Colts. If that happens, it's going to get really loud then.
Yeah, and then we take the show on the road to the UK for 2 weeks.
Which, look, the season's not always about London, but that's a big deal. People are, if you want to have an attraction in London, give them something to cheer about.
That's right.
But it's the same thing here. The fans here want to have something to cheer about. I'm excited for this weekend with all the former guys coming in and coach going in, and I hope it goes great.
There has been, by the way, 1 team in NFL history that has started 0-4 since 1990.
Who's that?
That has made the playoffs. It's the 92 San Diego Chargers.
Bobby Beathard.
He was the GM.
Yep. And Bobby Ross was a coach.
Correct. Yeah, and Stan Humphries was the quarterback.
Yeah, and he wore 16, I believe.
And Leslie O'Neal had 17 sacks that year.
91, absolute
Junior
stud.
Seau was a linebacker.
55.
They started 0-4.
He was a baller.
And Stan Humphries had thrown like 8 picks in 4 weeks and then settled down. They had some great defensive play, obviously, and went off and went 11-1 the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to
think.
think.
Only team in history to do it at 0-4.
They had some other good players on that defense. It wasn't just Junior Seau and Leslie O'Neal. I'm trying to remember some of the other guys, but give you a chance to research it.
However, Stan
Google.
Humphries attended Northeast Louisiana, 1987 1AA national champions. On that roster, freshman quarterback Doug Pederson.
Ah.
Just a small connection.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean much
cool.
of anything, but anyway. But then Doug Pederson was on a team that in Kansas City, he was the offensive coordinator, I believe, of a team that was 1-5 and then rallied to go to the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, it
in 2015.
It can be done. There's no doubt it can be done.
I'd rather not have to go through that.
I think the hard part is that, where do you begin, if you're a team? And that's hard to do. That's why, right now, if you talk about, you got to find a way to have strong leadership with a team that's 0-4, and that's not easy to do. It's got to be coming from the coaches. It's got to be coming from the players. You got to have a commitment to a work ethic to continue to find a way to dig yourself out of the hole. But it's kind of like a meal, JP.
I love meals.
I mean, we do. We both do.
Yeah.
And, you sit there and if you look at a whole table full of food and you go, God, man.
How am I going to eat all this?
Yeah, well, one bite at a time.
I'll try.
One bite at a time. One bite at a time. And, for this football team, it's one play at a time, one moment at a time, and then go from there.
Stanley Richard, ring a bell, safety.
Yeah, pretty good player. Not a great
Chargers.
player.
Chris Mims, defensive end.
Yeah. Who else? Give me some other names.
Gary, he had 10 sacks that year. Looking at Gary Plummer.
Plummer was a good player, inside linebacker, kind of a journeyman, bounced around a lot of different teams.
Yeah, Sean Van Horst. Those are kind of the big stats guys, really, on defense. Huh. Anyway, so, all right, moving ahead here on the Jaguars side of things now at 0-4, and
I was disappointed in that game, JP.
Which one?
Because they're in the Houston game. I mean,
last week.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, focusing on the last game. I mean, you had opportunities at the game to make it a 2-possession game.
Yeah,
and you didn't do it.
I know.
I mean, and I'm going to be honest. Quarterback better start playing better.
I was going to get to that. There were some missed throws in that game that we've heard about all week long in different programming and shows and things, and it's not the first time that's happened this year, by the way.
Well, it's not. No, I mean, if you go to Buffalo game, he overthrows Brian Thomas with a clean pocket, a wide open window, and it's a routine throw. I mean, like right there, and he overthrows it. And
Damar Hamlin.
Okay, Damar Hamlin's first career pick.
Yep.
Damar Hamlin shouldn't have a first career pick. I mean, that should be a routine throw and a routine catch. And you move the sticks and you go down and you maybe put something together and make a drive. And then in this game, Brian Thomas Jr. has first. Okay, let me start in chronological order. Early in the game, you got Christian Kirk, who's running an opposite field deep over and wide open. I mean, it's got 7-8 yards on a defender. I mean, it put it on the money. It's touchdown. If not a touchdown, it's definitely points. It's definitely inside the 20-yard line, somewhere in there. But more than likely, it's a touchdown. Then you got a beautiful, beautiful double move by Brian Thomas Jr. Beautiful. Got great separation. And I never would have thought you could overthrow Brian Thomas Jr., but you did. And so 2 lost opportunities there. He had Gabe Davis on the boundary and just, airmails it over the top of him. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So he's got to dial it in, because the reality is that a Doug Pederson Press Taylor offense is quarterback driven. I mean, all offenses are to some extent. Some are just a little less reliant on the quarterback, but this is a quarterback centric offense. And so if you can't function at the quarterback position or be accurate, you miss throws like that, you're not going to win the game. You're not going to win the game. I mean, you ran it, and here's the other part. You were running it so good.
Yeah, there were moments where they ran the ball really well.
What was Tank averaging, like 10 yards a carry or something like that?
The big long one, yep.
I mean, offensive line, probably their best game yet. Not that they're perfect, but they probably had their best game yet. Did a great job on those 2 outside guys, which, that was kind of the strength of their defense, and they neutralized those guys.
Real quick, on the matchup this week with Gus Bradley's defense for the Colts, what will be the biggest challenge for Trevor in the passing game against this group? Patience. Yeah.
Gus Bradley defense going to keep everything in front. They're going to be simplified. They're not going to make any mistakes. They're not going to, allow you to get the explosive plays in the passing game. They're going to keep everything up front. So the challenge for Trevor is to have that patience and to literally take what's there instead of forcing the ball into the intermediate or to the deep zone. Because a lot of times with Gus Bradley defense, they're not giving you that. So can you put together 9, 11, 12 play drives to march down the field? Do you have enough patience to do that if you're a quarterback? And Trevor has shown that he can be patient against them.
Yeah. Can you execute enough where you aren't penalized 2 or 3 times either in that long
stretch? That makes it harder.
There's some of that.
If you have a penalty or if you have, a sack or negative play, then it's hard to recover. If you can stay on schedule, not make mistakes, then you have a chance against Indianapolis. I mean, the reality is that their defense is not playing at a high level right now with some guys that are out and still trying to find their groove. I mean, 32nd ranked defense in the National Football League in yards, but at the same token, they're about middle of the road in points allowed. So let's not say, oh, they should score 50 on the Colts because they're the worst defense in the National Football League. Well, they're not giving up the worst amount of points in the National Football League. So it's going to be, it's going to be a day's work.
It's time to take it back to the 90s. Be at the bank this Sunday as the Jags debut the Prowler throwback jerseys against the Colts. And head coach Tom Coughlin will be inducted into the Pride of the Jaguars at halftime. Lock in your seats now. Go to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We're on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the Doug Pederson Show. The head coach will be in studio with us. And this is Jaguars Happy Hour.
Are you ready to love how you feel, look, and live in every season? At Elace, we offer more than just luxury med spa treatments. We provide a serene, judgment-free space where you can reconnect with the best version of you. Whether you want to refresh your natural look with Botox or Dysport, pamper yourself with a relaxing hydrofacial, or rejuvenate your complexion with laser resurfacing, our expert team in Jacksonville is here to tailor treatments to your needs. Visit Elace.com today and start your journey to loving yourself.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense, a rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans, huddle up. Do you own a vehicle made in the last 10 years? If your car is outside of factory warranty or with no warranty coverage, get the best defense against expensive auto repairs with CarShield, the official auto protection partner of the Jaguars. With plans to fit every budget, CarShield helps you cover up to 5,000 parts and systems. Call 800-471-1223 now or go to carshield.com/Jaguars. That's 800-471-1223. Coverage varies by plans. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
Facing cancer takes a lot of determination, strength, and support. And you'll get it all at Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center. Determination from world-renowned doctors, giving you specialized treatment with cutting-edge technology and research. Strength and support from a dedicated team, caring for you completely, during and after treatment. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Appointments available at baptistmdanderson.com.
Does propane power your home or business? Count on AmeriGas for expert propane delivery with a neighborly smile. At AmeriGas, the official propane partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, their drivers deliver for Duval. Their local team will keep your home or business running smoothly throughout football season and beyond. Call 844-PRO-JAGS for a free propane quote today. Grilling this tailgate season? Visit AmeriGas.com to find your closest cylinder exchange location and keep it teal with a custom Jaguars wrapped grill tank.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think that's an area that we can continue to improve, right? I think we're close. When you really put on the film and look, we're when I say we're close, we're inches away from hitting the quarterback, hitting his arm, knocking the ball loose. We've played some mobile guys here too in these first few weeks, and so that comes into play. But it's not for lack of effort. We got to continue to push pockets. This is another week, depending on who plays. The pass rush could be a little bit different. But we're close. We know internally that we can improve and it needs to improve, and we got to just continue to work.
Head coach Doug Pederson earlier this week on the Jaguars pass rush. Getting close, and welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. We're at the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars U2, all the places. The Colts-Jaguars game is presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
I'm going to disagree with Doug. I don't think they're that close there on pass rush. I don't.
You don't?
No.
Why not?
I don't. I just think that they've got a lot of work to do. They're not getting the push or the pressure that they need to get. The reality is that Josh Allen right now is the only guy that's consistently or is winning at an acceptable rate as a pass rusher. Trayvon Walker is not.
And he's in the protocol, by the way, Josh Hines Allen this week.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Trayvon Walker is not winning at the rate that he needs to be winning at. Eric Armstead is not winning at the rate that he needs to be. And I want to see him play defensive tackle more. I mean, he's not an edge player. They played him at end. I just think he's more effective when he's in the inside and he can use his length. The Mason Smith, the rookie, put him out there, let him rush the passer. Just tell him, say, go get him. He was probably the most effective pass rusher in the interior in training camp, but that's because Eric Armstead wasn't in training camp. And the rest of the defensive tackles are just at best. I mean, they're just not doing much. I know Ledbetter got a sack, okay, but consistently it's not happening enough, and it's not close. They're farther than close. If on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say you're a 10's where you want to be. If you're close, that would kind of give the impression like, okay, you're rushing the passer at like a 7 or an 8, right?
Sure.
I don't think it's that close. I think they're not even above 5.
Now, okay. Now, this week against the Colts offensive line. It's
a good offensive line.
And the different style challenges. You have to prepare for both styles of quarterbacks with Flacco, the near statue at 40-something years, 38 years old, 39, whatever he is, 75 years old.
Don't make him older than he is.
He carved this team up last year. And then Anthony Richardson, who can move around and throw the ball 70 yards and all these things.
In what zip code he doesn't know.
Two different styles. And as a pass rusher, which you were, I mean, that can be that's two different approaches.
Well, I'll tell you this. If I was a defender, I'd rather have Anthony Richardson.
You would?
Oh, yeah, all day.
Why is that?
Well, his completion percentage is the worst in the National Football League. His interceptions are the most in the National Football League.
I'll give you a couple.
He's struggling. I mean, he's exactly what everybody thought he was going to be when he was coming out. Raw and a superior athlete that hasn't learned all the details of playing the quarterback position. That's exactly what he is. There are certain throws that he makes that are just like, holy cow, did you just see that?
Yeah.
40 yards down the field, and he puts it on the money, and it's a rope. And then there are other throws that he makes that are just like routine throws, and he airmails them. He doesn't know where they're going. And so I think if you're Jaguars defenders, I'm like, yeah, give me the young guy. At the same token, if I'm pass rushing, I want Joe Flacco.
He ain't going anywhere.
He ain't going anywhere.
No.
He's going to stay right there.
Right.
And he's not going to move a whole lot. And so I kind of know exactly where my point is going to be. With Anthony Richardson, I'm a little hard or hesitant to commit because if I go here, he might take off and go there, So, it's kind of a catch-22. Each guy's got their strengths, but, man, again, overall performance-wise, I want to see Anthony Richardson. I just don't think he can handle the offense. He doesn't read defenses as well as Flacco will. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, the injury that Anthony Richardson had in this past game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Indianapolis looked to be significant in that hip area. They're calling it an oblique. I saw Anthony Richardson. I don't know about you. I saw him grabbing for his right hip.
Yeah. I wonder, technically, how far does the oblique go down? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't have an answer.
He's grabbing on the hip. So, I mean, where a hip and oblique change, I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
You got to remember, too, just the way that – and this happened at Florida with him, too, with Richardson. He had a bunch of soft tissue, hamstrings, like all kind – and he only started, 13 games there?
Yeah.
He contributed a bunch the first year as, off the bench guy, and then him and Emory Jones back and forth. But then, he was dinged up a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I wish he was playing.
And the way they play him with the quarterback run game here,
Well,
he's an aggressive guy. He's 6'5", 250. He's a big guy.
And here's the other reason why I would like to see Anthony Richardson is their running back's a little beat up, okay? And Taylor is arguably one of the best running backs in the league.
Jonathan Taylor, yeah.
I mean, just stud. He had a high ankle or an ankle injury towards the end of that game in Pittsburgh this past weekend, and I think it's a really big question mark whether he's going to play or not. Well, if Anthony Richardson plays with him, the running game is more dangerous if Jonathan Taylor were to be healthy because of the threat of Anthony Richardson running. But if Jonathan Taylor's not going to play, which maybe that's going to be the case this week, and if you're the Colts, would you want to have the guy that can read the defense a little bit better and throw it?
Probably.
And Joe Flacco?
Sure.
So
we'll get to the injury report coming up in just a little bit. Don't want to spoil it now, but it's out there.
No.
We'll get it to you here in just a little bit.
But the one thing that is consistent, no matter who plays quarterback, the Indianapolis Colts offensive line's a pretty good group. Now, T.J. Watt had him spinning a little bit this past game. I watched the film.
That with a lot of lines.
But exactly, he does it a lot with everybody. But now they did not have their starting center, Ryan Kelly, in this past game with the neck. They played a fourth-round pick rookie, Bortolini, as opposed to Rigatoni.
Okay. All right. How'd he do?
He's okay. He's just a little soft, a little undersized, needs some years to get some strength. But, I mean, he moves well, and he gets where he needs to be. Sometimes he just doesn't have that anchor. But, I mean, that's a good group. I mean, if you look at offensive lines around the National Football League, this might be right on par with the Buffalo Bills offensive line. This is a good offensive line.
That's praise.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a challenge.
It really is.
Challenge.
And then the questions for the Jaguars at linebacker still. Ventrell Miller has been playing. Chad Muma played last week. Devin Lloyd was out. We'll see if he can get back on the field this week. And, Boye's out for at least a couple more weeks. So, and then the secondary's had some injuries as well, obviously.
Yeah, what's Savage? What's his status going to be for this game?
Good question. We missed him. And then I think Tyson Campbell has one more week on IR, and then he can start his window to come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, and here's the thing with that. I mean, he missed a lot of time last year, and then when he got back, he wasn't back 100%, so you want to make sure he's right. But, look, the Indianapolis Colts, it's amazing. The first three games with Anthony Richardson, I was looking at the numbers, and the first three games, Michael Pittman Jr., who they gave a big truckload of money to in the offseason. In the first three games of the year, he had 11 catches for 88 yards and not a touchdown. Still doesn't have a touchdown, by the way. But in one game with Joe Flacco, for the most part, he had one big pass play from Anthony Richardson early in the ball game, but the rest of it was Joe. And he had 6 catches for 113 yards. He surpassed the first 3-game total in one game, essentially, with Joe Flacco. So wow. Again, who do you want? Okay, let's go to Josh Downs. There are other kind of slot, scatter wide receivers, kind of their Christian Kirk. In the first 3 games, he had 3 catches for 22 yards. In this past game with Joe, he had 8 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. So ask me that question again, JP. Mm-hmm. Who do you want to see at quarterback?
Yeah, if you're a receiver for the Colts.
You want to see Joe.
I have an idea who they want.
Yeah, you want to see Joe if you're Michael Pittman or Josh Downs, but I don't know. This team needs a win, though. I mean, and I'm not going to say they're close. I mean, they've got to start making plays in different areas if they're going to expect to compete and expect to win.
Register your furry friend for the Jaguars official 4-legged fan club for pets. Presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your pet will receive access to exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Visit jaguars.com/promotions/four-legged fan club and sign up today. We're on 1010XL 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. Kainani Stevens coming up next. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading healthcare and technology organizations nationwide to deliver workforce solutions. CSI prides itself on building meaningful relationships and provides personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
Hey Jags fans, stop dreaming of creating your game day fan cave and build the Jaguars den of your dreams with ZipChair. When it comes to maximum comfort, ZipChair.com is the only place for officially licensed Jaguars recliners, sofas, bar stools, office and gaming chairs, all featuring high-quality embroidered Jags logos. Crack open a few cold ones in the comfort of a ZipChair and make your home the place to be on game day. Head over to ZipChair.com and save 20% today. Use code JagsRadio at checkout. ZipChair.com, furniture for fans.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, Power Boost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Tackle your marketing needs with Kessler Creative. Providing direct mail services for more than a decade, Kessler has a wide range of services from small mailers to large banners and signs. Draft Kessler as your first pick to receive the best targeted mail list. Elevate your business and be on the winning team with Kessler Creative. Kessler Creative, results-driven marketing and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with Everbank. Open an Everbank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. Everbank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
If you're facing cancer, you want a dedicated team working for you. At Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, we only focus on cancer. And we partner with one of the largest cancer centers in the world. So you'll have a specialized treatment plan created by our experienced and highly trained oncologists and surgeons, collaborating with one of the country's leading cancer centers. Best of all, we're in North Florida with locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Appointments at baptistmdanderson.com.
You know, obviously you're gonna go through some setbacks, you know, in this league, and there's gonna be some times where, you're gonna come on some hard times. I mean, that's just part of this game. I've been there before, I've done that before, and we've always, you know, battled back. I mean, even when we were 3-7, in 22, we found a way to win a game and win multiple games, and that's all it takes, you know. And I think too, when you look at it, and if you really look at these games, you know, like with a calm eye and study the tape and see, I mean, there's mistakes. Yeah, there's mistakes. Are they critical at times? Yeah, they're critical at times. But there's a lot of good, as we talked about the other day, and that's what we have to lean on, and we just got to continue to work.
Doug Pederson earlier this week, the full press conference at Jaguars.com. PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jags, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. We're on Jaguars Happy Hour at the Hyundai Studios. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman on 1010XL 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, all the places. Kainani Stevens joining us in studio as well. Hi.
Hello, gentlemen. How are we?
We are well. I am well. Jeff, you're well?
No, I'm not well.
Oh,
Until we get a win, I'm not well.
I'm well. He's not. You're very well, Kai. the Jaguars are not well. They're 0-4.
They're unwell, some would say.
They are so unwell right now. How do they get well?
A win would help, right? I think what I have been trying to look at, if we're going to be positive about it, is if I looked at just the Texans game without looking at some of the other things we saw this season, I wouldn't feel as bad about things as I do right now. So that's what I'm trying to do. Is we always talk about it week to week, right? So if I'm looking specifically at what they did last week, I think there are good things there that can be built off of. And then if we can eliminate, which has always been my problem, the silly mistakes and the small things, which add up to big things at the end of the day, just focusing on that is huge. Plus, you're facing off of, again, a very depleted Colts team. So I know there's nothing guaranteed with this team right now in the Jaguars, but you need to take advantage of those matchups as well.
It didn't matter against the Browns, did it? I mean, they had backup tackles on the field.
When they were on a third-team tackle?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was another game. Who knows?
But no, I appreciate your positive approach. I mean, you cheered me up a little bit there because you're right. If you focused it on just the Houston game,
yeah,
you would say, hey, competitive team that just fell a little short at the end. But dadgummit, I mean, you had a lot of chances there at the end. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like you just had one chance that you felt on. There was multiple at the end that you had a chance to make that a 2-score game as an offense. And then at the end of the game, you had a chance to shut the door and slam it closed as a defense. I mean, it's just frustrating. And, you know, the frustrating thing of all for me from that past game was that you had a huge run by Tank Bigsby.
You did.
1st and goal at the 4. And you didn't get a point. You didn't get a point.
That's not good.
And quarterback draw on 4th down.
Which I'm sure you could see from up in the press box. That's what was going to happen.
I mean, to go empty, I mean, kind of a ding-ding, bells go off. I set it in the air, quarterback draw, here we go.
Could he have, if Trevor saw, you think he could have scored if he went to the B gap instead of?
Well, yeah.
Or do you think that's not?
The Texans' defensive tackles were zero rushing. So they're essentially power rushing the guards. And Sheriff got pushed back, and his guy comes off. It's Trevor. Could Trevor have been better? Sure, he could have been better. But, I mean, it just drives you nuts. I mean, you got 1st and goal at the 4, and you don't get in. And we're in a 2-point stance on the first play. And then Sheriff is a 2-point stance on another play. It's like, you only needed a yard. Let's go. 3-point and run it. You know, at the end of the day, football's still a physical sport. And I know it's a passing league now, but there are still moments that it has to be physical, and to me, that should have been a physical moment.
It was not.
Frustrating.
It is frustrating. It was not a physical moment, that's for sure. Looking for the MVP of the truck game? Better check out the 2024 Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capability and game-changing tech, you can dominate work, play, and everything in between. Test drive an F-150 at your local Ford dealer. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, Kainani Stevens in studio with us. A lot of backup players getting time on defense these days.
Sure
with
are.
all the injuries. And you know what? Hey, Monteric Brown. Ventrell Miller, both guys kind of stepping up and playing in a big spot, and it seems like they're going to have to do that at least for another week or two.
I love Jeff's perspective. If Josh can't play this week because he's in Josh Hines Allen in concussion protocol, what's the plan there? What do you think the plan will be? Because also, I mean, as we discussed when they were doing final roster cuts, there's a lot of defensive linemen, not a ton of edge in general, so there's not a lot of depth. What do you think they might do there?
Well, they list Eric Armstead as an edge defender, but
sure, but then you only have 3 still, right?
He's been a defensive tackle for the majority of his career, and I think that's where he should be. I mean, he's not an true edge player in my mind. So if Josh couldn't go, I would expect Eric Armstead to be at one side and then Trayvon Walker on the other side. And who rotates in? Roy Robinson Harris or one of the other defensive tackles. But again, these are guys that don't threaten the edge with speed. Eric Armstead does not threaten the edge with speed. mean, that's the whole reason why they call those players edge defenders. That means they threaten the edge. Well, if you're 320 pounds and you run a 5 flat, you can't threaten the edge. So
can Miles Cole do that, or is he too raw still?
He's raw. You know, he's raw. He's a project.
We're running out of guys on the roster here.
That's why I'm saying.
There's really no other edge defender on this active roster. There's not. I mean, in my book, that's
a lot of tackles.
So if you don't have the personnel, obviously, I know you're not Ryan Nielsen, but how do you try to do stunts? Do you blitz? What do you do?
They've done some stuff with Yasir Abdullah on the outside, and he's done a pretty good job when he's been given the opportunity to bring pressure on the outside. They do like what's called like a spinner package. It's 3 down, and then he's kind of moving all over the place. But hopefully, Josh can play. Mm-hmm. But if he can't, it's totally understandable.
He did practice today, limited, so that's better than what we saw earlier this week.
It's a step.
Babe, you got to take the steps, though.
Well, and Trayvon's got to step his game up. And when I say step his game up, Trayvon does an excellent job against the run, and that's great. But reality is that you didn't draft a guy first overall to be just good against the run. He had 10 sacks last year. He had 2 in the first week. One of them was kind of a gimme. The other one was a really good rush. But since then, he's been quiet. And this is not the time to be quiet, okay? When you have 4 consecutive losses or 3 consecutive losses or 2 consecutive losses, your A players switch, okay, the amount of money you're making and then also your draft status, it kind of has to implicate how much production you're getting. And right now, you're not getting a lot from Trayvon. I mean, again, good against the run, but I can find a lot of guys that can be good against the run. What the guys that are difference makers are good against the pass, and that's where Trayvon needs to have his impact felt, and felt now. I mean, it's time.
The time is now. Week 5, 0-4 record.
Who's that announcer, JP?
The Colts.
Time.
Oh, that's the Showtime guy for boxing, isn't it?
I'm not Michael Buffer.
It's his brother, isn't it?
It's his brother.
Yeah, I forget
his
first name.
Is it Bruce Buffer?
Bruce
Buffer.
Ding, ding, ding.
Drilled
you
it.
Got it. Tonight, Jaguars All Access, Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield. Who you got, Kai?
Christian Kirk back with us tonight. He's always a great guest to have.
Good game.
And he's stepped up, I think, recently. So I'm sure he'll have a lot to say, as always.
How did Trevor miss him on that pass in that game?
You can ask him tonight. I don't know.
Man, I mean, just put it right there. And everybody's hands are up. Yeah.
We all know, I mean, Christian is a guy who goes about his business the right way all the time. I don't think there's any doubt about the way his process goes. It might have been a little bit of a scuffle early in the season, but hopefully the last week or so has been a step in the right direction for him.
I think so. And just obviously that consistency when he's better, Trevor is better because of him and their relationship. So hoping that means more development on the offensive side of the football, and hopefully we see some scoring on Sunday.
They got to find a rhythm, though. I mean, they got to start finding a rhythm as an offense. I mean, they've got too much talent for them to be as productive as they are right now. Got to be better. And it starts with the quarterback. Got to be better. 16's got to be better. If 16's not better, this team won't win. Yeah, he's got to be patient this week now. And sometimes when you're pressing, it's hard to be patient. This is going to be a real test of a game just from a maturity standpoint. And that's not really a category that I worry about with Trevor, because I think he's a pretty mature person, a mature player. But look, everybody's human, and sometimes when you're not playing well and you're not doing well, you kind of want to swing for the fences a little bit. And this is not a week to swing for the fence with this defense that you're facing. You've got to be happy dinking and dunking, okay? Dinking and dunking, okay? And then hopefully something pops. They're not going to give you stuff over the top.
I can see the concern in your face, Locke.
So I got major concern.
You got a furrowed brow.
Look, man, it's Legends Weekend.
I was going to say, do we have time for a quick Tom Coughlin story? Because we were talking a ton about Tom Coughlin this morning on Jags AM, and Brian was telling me how when you were the players rep, you always had to go and fight with Tom about certain things.
A few times.
How'd that go?
It was always fun. It was always fun, but a lot of respect for him. And
what's the biggest fight y'all had?
The biggest what?
The fight, like what?
Because he's mostly my way or the highway, right? So,
well, okay.
Did he ever give in on anything?
Here's one story.
Yeah.
Okay, you want one personal or one that was a team story?
It was a team one.
I'll give
want
you
a
both
team.
real quick.
Yeah.
They won't be long. So in 1995, we had a Chamber of Commerce dinner. Okay, which is great. You had a great opportunity to meet people in the community. The whole team was going to go. Coughlin made it mandatory.
You had to go, yeah.
Well, and as a player, it was scheduled on a mandatory day off. Okay? So there, in fact, lies a little bit of a violation. You can't make something mandatory on a required player's 24-hour period off. All the players would come to me, okay, as vice president of the union and also the union rep, and said, hey, and I'm like, look, let's just go. I said, because it's the first year of the team. It's a great opportunity for us to show unity, to get out in the community, and to make contacts with people in our community. It's a great call.
Okay? Yes. Yeah, I like
so let's
that.
all go.
Good. Yeah.
Okay? So I got everybody to go, okay, which I didn't have to do that. Got everybody to go. And you know what Tom did?
Didn't show up?
He fined multiple guys for dress code violations.
At the event?
Yes.
What was the code?
His usual dress code. So I go.
The best part is, like, did he take notes? Like, did he see someone who's like, he's not wearing a polo, he doesn't have a tie on?
Yeah, you had to wear socks. You had to wear a certain kind of shoes. You had to wear a tie.
He's like looking under the table.
So I got guys coming to me like the next day, and they're like, hey man, we went. And then hey, look here, and they're showing me their fine letters. You're fine, that dress code violation. I went down to Tom, knocked on his door, and walked right in. I said, "What in the world are you doing?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You had a Chamber of Commerce dinner on a player's day off," and I said, "And I got everybody to go." And I said, "I could have told every one of them stay home. It's on one of our scheduled days off." I said, "Now you're going to fine guys and throw that in my face?" Mm-hmm. No, he rescinded the fines.
Ah, look at this union.
He
rep.
rescinded the fines.
Yeah. See?
Okay,
doing the good work.
Here's one time, and I actually had a dress code violation myself.
Okay.
On a road trip.
Yeah. Rule breaker.
So, and you had to have the shoes and all. I had all that on, and I wore a Texas tie.
Bolo tie.
A bolo.
Mm-hmm. Did you have the hat?
No, just a bolo. Okay, sport coat, dress shirt, bolo, and it was my great grandfather's bolo. So, little part of me,
you didn't
right?
just go buy it at
And
some
my
store.
great-grandfather was a ambassador to different countries. It was spoke 6 different languages, very educated, so I'm wearing a bolo and all that kind of stuff. I get a fine for it. I went in his office and said, "What the hell is this?" He said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You didn't have a tie on." I said, "Do you not know what a Texas tie is, Tom?" "What do you mean?" "You got to be wearing a cloth tie." I said, "Cloth tie? Nothing." I said, "That's a classy tie." Okay, so anyway, the funny part is the next year when his rule book came out,
it was written in.
It said, "You must wear a cloth tie." He changed the language to read cloth tie the following year in 1996 because of my Texas tie.
Have you worn a bolo tie since?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I know that was a one-off.
It's
this
more
guy,
of a
absolutely.
decorative thing,
Kai, we got a good story or two out of logs today.
We got more, but
yeah.
I'm actually.
You got a couple more blocks of the show. You'll be all
I
right.
think so.
Saturday night, I think there will be some stories told about Tom Coughlin.
I
have no
so.
doubt.
Yeah.
Kai will have. What am I trying to say? We'll see you later. Have a great show.
Thanks so much.
That was English, believe it or not.
Yes, I'm proud of you. Good job, JP.
Thank you. Fighting through it. Jags fans want customized Jags furniture for your home? Check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. Zipchair furniture for fans. The injury report when we come back. Then at 5 o'clock, we'll have the head coach in studio. The Doug Pederson Show coming up on the Jaguars Radio Network. This is Jaguars Happy Hour.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, Power Boost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Unlock your potential at the University of North Florida. A beautiful campus with an inspiring environment for learning, UNF is a key partner to Florida's booming industries, providing students with direct access to internships and jobs. Set a new course at UNF and soar into your future. Visit unf.edu to learn more. Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover comfort and convenience like never before. Search Sheraton Jacksonville or call 904-564-4772 today.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For us, treating cancer is personal. We're Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, and we know that every patient is unique. So you'll have a plan created by world-renowned doctors and tailored to your needs. And everyone here will support you every step of the way, so you're physically, emotionally, and spiritually strong for the journey. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Visit BaptistMDAnderson.com.
Are you ready to love how you feel, look, and live in every season? At Elace, we offer more than just luxury med spa treatments. We provide a serene, judgment-free space where you can reconnect with the best version of you. Whether you want to refresh your natural look with Botox or Dysport, pamper yourself with a relaxing hydrofacial, or rejuvenate your complexion with laser resurfacing, our expert team in Jacksonville is here to tailor treatments to your needs. Visit Elace.com today and start your journey to loving yourself.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman on 1010XL 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube coming up in a little less than 8 minutes. It's the Doug Pederson Show. We'll have the head coach in studio, get his thoughts on Week 5 and an 0-4 start for the Jaguars. Time now for the injury report presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. And we'll start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why not? A bunch of names on the list this week. Yasir Abdullah with a neck issue, limited both days, Wednesday and Thursday. Linebacker, of course. Running back Tank Bigsby, shoulder issue, limited both days. Wide receiver Gabe Davis, shoulder issue, limited both days. Tight end Evan Ingram, hamstring issue, limited both days. We'll see if he can make a jump on Friday. And let's get Jeff's microphone on. Travis Etienne Jr., shoulder injury, limited both days. Jarian Jones, cornerback, shoulder, limited both days. Darnell Savage, safety, quadriceps, limited both days. And then Josh Hines-Allen in the concussion protocol did not practice Wednesday, limited today. That's a step in the right direction. That's, I think, if he's full tomorrow, I think he could be cleared and ready to go. And then Devin Lloyd with a knee issue didn't practice Wednesday, limited today. I talked to him in the locker room today. He's confident he'll be able to play on Sunday, but today's Thursday.
A couple things. You could tell that Jarian Jones was a little cautious about entering the fray, so to speak, this past game with that shoulder. And look, if you're hurt, you're hurt. I mean, sometimes you gotta protect yourself. Gabe Davis, didn't really notice anything about him.
It was at the end of the Buffalo game, right? Wasn't it? At the very end?
Yeah, and he didn't have a whole lot of involvement this past game. I mean, Trevor had missed him a couple times, but yeah, I mean the injuries. I mean, the interesting one there, Yasir Abdullah with the neck. I mean, you're a little light at that position.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, what do you have? 5 on the active roster linebackers because of Foye going to IR. So if Yasir Abdullah, I mean, maybe a practice squad elevation may be in the offing. I don't know that. But Yusuf has done a pretty good job. Kudos to Ventrell Miller for his first career start. I thought he played pretty well. Wasn't perfect. Some of the zone drops he got burnt on. Like there was two of them that I can think of that weren't great by him. But I love the way that he can play downhill. I'm talking, downhill.
Is that the sound he makes when he runs?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Wow. You want to hear that again?
That's fast.
He had a play. It was the tackle for a loss, and it was a play to the opposite side of the field to where he had to fight through traffic. And how many linebackers that you know of can make a tackle for a loss on the other side of the field? There ain't many. There's not many. And I was very impressed with the way he played. A good start for somebody's first career pro start. And Devin Lloyd, I hope, is available this week. I know he had, a knee?
It's a knee, yeah.
Kept him out of the game. I saw him out there pregame warming up. Wasn't sure if he was going to be able to go, and then we were notified that he wasn't going to be able to go. So hopefully he's fine this week. And then, the other thing, too, is Darnell Savage, man.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's so good in coverage. He's a difference maker in coverage. And I hope he's available, and I'll make this prediction. This week will be the first week that the Jaguars defense gets its first takeaway of the season.
Takeaway, all right.
Not special teams, defense.
Defense, yeah, that's right.
Joe Flacco, who I expect to play, Joe will throw you a couple. I'm serious. He'll throw you a couple interceptions. You just got to catch them.
Let's get to the Colts side of the injury report. Speaking of that, Anthony Richardson with what they're calling an oblique injury. Hip area is what was reported during the game, at least last week. Limited both days, Wednesday and Thursday. Zaire Franklin, the linebacker, has an illness, didn't practice Wednesday, full today.
He's a good
should
player,
be fine,
by the way.
yeah. Ryan Kelly, the center with a neck issue, hasn't practiced yet. Kenny Moore, cornerback, hip injury, hasn't practiced yet. Kwity Paye, defensive end, quadriceps injury, hasn't practiced either day. Tackle Braden Smith was out Wednesday with a knee issue, full today. Grant Studdard, the linebacker, a heel injury, didn't practice Wednesday, full today. Jonathan Taylor has not practiced either day, Wednesday or Thursday. The running back for the Colts with an ankle issue. That's huge.
That's big. Yeah,
huge.
He's a good player. He had, he was wearing out the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then late in the ball game, he ends up getting kind of twisted up in the backfield with the linebacker coming in, and from that point he was out. But he's there's not many running backs in the National Football League that I think are worthy of getting a lot of pay. He's right there, I think, at the top.
They're going to love you for
guys.
saying that, by the way.
Who?
All the running backs. They're going to love you for saying that.
I mean, they get mad. I mean, but the reality is, look at the pay. I mean, look at what they're getting paid around the league. I mean, it's
that's what it is. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is what it is. But he's one of the best ones. There's one in Philly. There's one in Indy. Mm-hmm. There's one in San Francisco when he's healthy. God, I don't think. Is there another one that you can think of?
I mean, there's few and far between.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the three main guys, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of any.
Bijan Robinson, Atlanta. Bijan's really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
He doesn't have the credentials yet. He's still pretty young.
Yeah, he's
got
not
the
there
ability.
yet, but he's got the ability. But he's not there yet.
We got about a minute, and Doug Pederson's coming in here into this room for the Doug Pederson Show. And hey, they're 0-4. At some point, they've got to not be 0 and whatever anymore. They've got to get a winning result here.
Well, and I think part of the discussion that we're going to have with them is also going to be not just about how do you finally get a win, but how do you go about kind of handling the psyche of a team that's 0-4? Because I think that's the biggest challenge is coaching an 0-4 football team. And I know that there's reports out there about he's lost the team, but I think those are hogwash.
All right, we'll hear from the head coach when we come back. The Doug Pederson Show next on the Jaguars Radio Network. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Happy Hour.
Welcome to the Doug Pederson Show. Brought to you by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick and former Jaguar Jeff Lageman discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Doug Pederson Show starts right now.
And the Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida from the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida. JP Shadrick with Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman and head coach Doug Pederson in studio with us. Great to see you, Coach. And all right, 4-game skid to start the season. It's obviously not the easiest, but what's been the mood this week? How do you keep a team going and into it with a lot of football ahead? What's been your strategy this week?
You know, the biggest thing is for coaches, we got to keep coaching, which means we got to show the players the mistakes. We got to show the players the positive. And, you know, I mentioned to the team earlier in the week, too, that it's easy for coaches to always harp on negative, especially when you're 0-4 or you lose a couple games in a row. Just harp on the negative, which you have to do because you got to make those corrections. But I think it's also important that we instill positivity and instill like a little bit of juice in the room and get the morale back. And, you know, and I think that's important too from the coaching standpoint and myself. And then the players have to embrace that, right? They have to take the corrections. They got to make those necessary changes early in the week. And then when we hit the practice field on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they apply a new game plan against a new football team, you know, and yet apply the changes and the corrections to what we're doing this week. And the mood has been really good. I think the players have really embraced this opportunity that we have in front of them. And I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, I mean, yeah, a lot of, I'd say 99.9% of the people out there are probably counting us out. But I know internally and the guys feel strong about just go 1-0, man. You can't get 4 games back in one. And, you know, we just got to play our best football this weekend.
I think what you just said there about how you do it one play at a time, one game at a time is so important because a lot of times, I mean, you're going back to just trying to coach in a quarterback. For example, if you're down by 28 points, which you were a couple years ago in a playoff game right here in Jacksonville, how do you come back? Well, you do it one score at a time. I mean, is that the mentality that you have to teach? Hey, one play at a time, one score at a time, one game at a time.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, when I talk to the players one-on-one and individually on the field, that's what I talk about with them. I'm like, guys, you know, we're not going to get this all back in one game. We're not going to get these 4 back, you know, this weekend. If we just get that winning feeling and that winning taste in our mouth, that's what carries over, and that's what gives you that momentum going into the next week. And that's all we're looking for right now. And quite frankly, too, I mean, it doesn't matter how we get it. Let's just try to get one and you know, right this ship a little bit.
Because you guys had opportunities. If you take care of one of many opportunities that were throughout that ball game in Houston, you win that ball game. So, I mean, do you got to focus in on some of those things? I mean, even though it's kind of a negative, but you say, hey, look, I mean, we're there. We just need to make the plays when we need to make them.
Again, you're absolutely right. I mean, go back to Miami. I mean, hang on to the football in the red zone. You know, you're going up 24-7, right? Then Cleveland, we spit and sputtered in the red zone. As bad as third down was, we spit and sputtered. You know, you score a touchdown. We had a touchdown called back that would have given us the lead. There's a potential another victory. Buffalo's Buffalo, and then you go play a good Houston team on the road, and you're down to the wire with them with opportunities to maybe have 2 more scores in that football game, and still – yeah, it doesn't change our record, but we have to look at that and go, okay, there's some good there. There's some positive there. Now, you know, players, right? I mean, I've been criticized for saying this before, but players go make the plays. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we as coaches coach them and try to put them in positions to be successful. We try to call offensively and defensively, you know, plays that are going to execute against that style of team. And then the players have to go do it, right? That's the execution portion of it. So it's a two-way street, but I think the guys are in a good spot this week.
I love the reaction now that everybody all of a sudden is noticing those comments, right? You've been saying that for 3 years around here. The players have to go. It's a players' league. It's constant for you.
It always has been. It goes back to, you know, my days in Green Bay playing with Brett Favre and just listening to him talk and how he's interacted with the corner. We used to joke all the time as players that you have to overcome your coaching. and as funny as that sounds sometimes as a player, especially the elite players and the good players, that's what they do, right? Is sometimes you have to go, I can't show you as a coach every look possible. We just don't have enough hours during the week with the team. And so if you're a player, especially the quarterback position, just use that as an example. I remember with Brett, there were times where, Brett, you have to go win the game. No matter what it could be in the first half, it could be the fourth quarter drive, whatever it is. But sometimes you have to overcome any situation, any obstacle, anything that's out of the ordinary, and you become a football player and not a robot. And and that's what you try to instill in your players. You try to instill that in them. And then when Sundays come around, you stick to the game plan, but there's going to come times where there's going to be an unscouted look out there. And now you just trust your rules, you trust your instincts, and you overcome it, and you do the best you can to make a play. So that's kind of what you're talking about a little bit, and we're still teaching our players how to do that.
Yeah, the old saying, it's not the X's and O's, but the Jimmies and Joes.
That's
okay,
right.
But as a coach, I mean, the psychological aspect as far as getting the players to perform at their optimum, I mean, there's something to say for that. I mean, the importance of that, especially when you're your own force. So how important is it for you to keep your players in a great mental space?
It's so important. It's so huge because, as coaches, or really as the head coach, right? And you start hearing the rumblings like, oh, you're losing the locker room. How are the guys in the locker room? How are this? Well, it's my job not to do that. My job is to keep everything in front of us. My job is to keep our goals in front of us. My job is to show us as a team, when we get to a team setting, show the good on tape, show the poor on tape, and say, guys, if we eliminate this, XYZ, whatever that is, and focus on the positive ABC, we're going to win these football games, and we're going to be better for it. So let's focus in, let's sense of urgency, let's attention to detail. I mean, you heard Bill Belichick for years, do your job, do your job, do your job. Well, as simple as it is to say, that's really what it boils down to.
Kind of a two-part question here. It's Legends Weekend. Tom Coughlin's going up on the stadium, which is amazing. And I think back to the days of Tom Coughlin, and sometimes when things were going well, he was a real pain in the rear. I mean, he was harder on us.
I didn't know what you were going to say right there.
I was trying to be safe
I knew what he was saying.
But when things were going bad, I don't want to say softened a little bit, but he was in a better place, I guess you could say. And so kind of twofold here in that, do you kind of pull back on some of the coaches that you've had to maybe help yourself in this instance, and also with it being Legends Weekend and Tom Coughlin going in to the Pride of the Jaguars?
Yeah,
pretty cool.
It's very cool. And first of all, congratulations to Coach Coughlin and his family and this honor, and the Ring of Honor in the stadium and all the recognition. I mean, well deserved, right? So excited for him. And then the second part of that is, you look at the coaching aspect of it, and I think there's some truth to that. When you go through this skid, this 0-4 skid, sometimes, first of all, kind of what we talked about earlier, you got to let the players figure this out, right? You can't. I think if I'm harder on them and want to yell and scream, now I'm uptight, then the team becomes uptight, and then we don't play loose, and we don't have fun and all that. So I'm not saying you go pull back ultra, but at the same time, I think you got to let the players figure things out, still be hard and demanding on them, but let them go through this process and figure it out for themselves. And then, I agree. Winning covers up a lot of mistakes, and it masks a lot of stuff. And so for me, if we were on a 4-0 start, I'd be probably ultra hard on the guys and say, no, we're still missing plays. These games could be, we could be 1-3, we could be 2-2. There's a little bit of fine line there.
Mm-hmm. The Colts Jaguars matchup presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. Let's get into some of the matchups this week and some question marks. Certainly for the Colts at the quarterback position, Anthony Richardson with a hip issue. Joe Flacco came in last week, and they've got questions at running back with Jonathan Taylor. So how difficult is that to prep when you might not even know right now who the quarterback's going to be?
Yeah, it's definitely two different styles, right? I mean, you're talking about a big, physical, powerful guy that can run. He's athletic and throw the ball, 90 yards, which we've seen earlier in the season.
It's amazing.
And it's just impressive to watch. And then you have the veteran in Flacco, who we played last year, who can sort of dice you up just sitting back there, and he did that, last year when he came in and started for the Browns for all those games. And, so it's two different styles. I think you got to be you definitely have to prepare for both of them. But at the same time, I think too, as guys go and study this week, I think you have to trust the game plan, what the coaches are putting out there and what they're teaching you during the week, and just trust your technique, trust what you're being coached, and whoever's back there, you adjust accordingly, and then of course if the running back and defensively too, they're missing some of their top guys defensively, but you know what, these guys play hard. I mean, you look at the Gus Bradley, style defense, you know exactly where they're going to be. They're going to line. They're not going to try to trick you. They're going to keep all eyes on the quarterback. They're going to make you go, 80, 85, 90 yards the long way to score. And then you get in the red zone, it becomes difficult. So, it's an execution game on both sides of the ball, and that's what we have to do.
Looking at their offense, whoever plays quarterback, it's very different, like you said, as far as the style of play between those two guys. But the one constant with Indianapolis is their offensive line. It's a pretty good group, and they're committed to running the football, and they've got two talented wide receivers in Pittman and Downs. I mean, it's a pretty good group. It is, and it is solid. And they're going to rely on the run and rely on that offensive line, and that's something that they've done, and they've had success doing it, and it kind of slows the game down, but it also shortens the game just a little bit because that clock keeps running. So, and it keeps your offense off the field. But, whatever it is, I know for us, we have to focus on us. We both offensively and defensively, we have to be better on third down. We have to get off the field. I think Houston was around 54% on third down. We were about 33%. So we got to flip that and go the other way. We got to be better in the red zone, things of that nature. And quite frankly, we got to create some takeaways. I feel like we've done a pretty good job keeping the ball, here recently, but we got to create some takeaways and give our offenses more chance. Yeah, and the takeaways, you got one against Houston, but special teams on a muff, doesn't count for a defensive takeaway. How do you emphasize that as a defense to get guys to try to take the ball away but still tackling well? And it's got to be difficult sometimes to be able to coach that. It's interesting when you watch tape around the league, defenses and players are leaning more towards punching the football out than they are tackling. And I mean, obviously we have to tackle, and you're seeing that, but they are interested in trying to knock that ball out. So we make a conscious effort of doing both. We drill the tackling aspect of it, but we also drill, the punching aspect of getting the ball out. And when you put it on tape and you watch us, how close are we to hitting the quarterback right now? How close are we to knocking that ball loose? And I know it doesn't, give us any style points or anything like that. We've got to do it, and we've got to execute that. And you go back to Buffalo. I mean, a ball goes through Foyer's hands. Ventrell Miller might have a pick in the end zone. So there's been opportunities. Now it's time for us to, we just got to capitalize on those. When I was a player in New York, we used to have cash pot. It got pretty big, Doug. Players throwing in some money. It might be pretty big right now. I don't know. Wow. We had a cash pot, and I'll never forget this was under Pete Carroll. And I think we had the pot up to about, I don't know, we had a couple weeks where we didn't have a turnover. The pot got up to be around $1,000 or $2,000. And then we go out the next week, we had the worst tackling performance. Everybody's going after the ball. Right. Terrible. Amazing.
All right, Coach. Colts coming in. The time's now. I mean, there's no time left to waste anymore. They got to get a W this week, right?
We have to, and we got to do it as a team. It takes every one of us, myself included, and we all have to be better. And it's just 1-0 this week. Focus on your job. Focus on my job. Make the best decisions for the football team, and the guys got to go play hard.
How do you get it off to a fast start? I mean, because obviously a fast start, like you had it last week. But how important is that at home?
It's huge. And you look at our games the way we've started here recently, and even go back to Houston. We had an opportunity on third down, the first third down of that game, and we missed it, right? And so, okay, we show the guys, and we're right there. We need to, and Trevor and Christian, you hate to say it, but they make most of those plays. You go back to Miami. I mean, we know Christian had 2 big drops on third down. Okay, he's kind of fixed that. Well, now we got to get things going in the right direction. You stay on the field. And you go down and you either kick 3 or score the touchdown. And then defensively, again, hey, let's either get a sack to knock them back, to punt the football, on that first drive, or try to create, some sort of takeaway that early in the game. But what we can't do is we can't keep giving up points defensively like we've been doing, and then offensively we have to score early in football games.
Doug, thanks for the time. Keep it up, and let's get a win on Sunday. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
Head coach Doug Pederson with us in about 20 minutes. CBS Sports announcer Spero Dedes joins us. This is the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
The Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida. The Colts-Jaguars game presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. It's week 5, the Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts coming up. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Our thanks to head coach Doug Pederson joining us in studio. Chatty Doug today. Even after the 0-4 start, and you know, a lot of conversation around this team, obviously on the negative side outside the building this week, but if we know pretty much anything about Doug Pederson, that it's the steady, consistent messaging that gets his teams back on track when things get off the rails.
Well, I'm just glad to see him back being the Doug that we know. I know after the game he wasn't very happy.
A little salty.
Salty would be an understatement.
Yeah.
And look, you know, when you lose 4 games in the National Football League and you're the head coach, it's not a good place to be. You know, so I get it. And you know, the one thing I think that is really important is as a head coach with an 0-4 football team, and to some extent you got to be a psychologist. And I never had the opportunity to play for Bill Parcells, and Doug's won a Super Bowl, so it's not like, you know, he doesn't know this. Parcells was like one of the great motivators because he kind of knew how to push buttons on certain guys. And that's truly an art form. And sometimes as a coach, you've got to know how to push the buttons of a team. And I think Doug will do fine. And all the reports about, you know, him losing the team, I think, again, I'm going to repeat myself, I think are a bunch of BS. And when a team quits on a coach, and we've seen it happen here in Jacksonville.
Yes, we have.
When a team quits on that coach and is not giving the effort and is, you know, tapping out as much, then you know you've got the evidence. This team's not doing that.
Oh, let's see. I mean, the quarterback play is a big priority, certainly for this offense. We heard him talk about a little bit of the quarterback stuff going on here, and just got to play some better football overall.
Well, Trevor's got to be better, and I know that sounds like a broken record, but you know, here's the reality: the record in franchise history for most consecutive losses by a quarterback is 10. and he's at 9. And when you're the first overall pick of the draft, you don't want to go into that territory.
Who had the 10?
Chad Henne.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yep. So, and
yeah, he did.
Trevor had an 8-game losing streak his rookie year, but, I mean, there was absolutely no chance for success his rookie year with the situation that was here.
And there were different quarterbacks in 2020, right? Because that was the 16 straight loss
Correct.
year.
Yep.
It was last year,
a lot
Marone,
of different quarterbacks.
And then 21 happened with Urban, and
Trevor lost 8
they
that
lost
year.
8, and then they won a game. Yeah, there was some. Right. Okay. Yeah, 10. Wow.
Yeah, that's not something that you want to have in the record books. I can tell you that.
No.
But he's just got to be better. And here's the thing. I mean, it's a quarterback offense, and I think 2 things can happen. One, he can play better. Number one. I also think that as a coaching staff, you always want to put your players into a position that they have a great chance to succeed. So let's say that the quarterback is struggling a little bit. Well, if he's struggling a little bit, then you commit to the run a little bit more, and you're less apt to put it on his shoulders so much. So, and that's maybe something that they have to do, and then that's not where you want to be when you just gave a guy a $275 million extension. But look, if you're going to miss throws, and the good thing with Trevor, and I'm going to do a Kai perspective here.
Yes,
because we had Kai on a little bit earlier. We were talking to Kai earlier, and she had a great kind of a viewpoint and the way she looked at things at this point in the season. And she said, if you just isolate and you look at the Houston game, it was a good performance. They just didn't lose. They didn't win when they could. Well, with Trevor, the one thing that he is doing really well is he's protecting the ball. Okay? But that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at some of the quarterbacks in the league, I mean, Patrick Mahomes has got 5 interceptions. But he's Patrick Mahomes. When key moments happen, he makes the plays. So it's great that Trevor's protecting the ball. It's great. Okay, but now you have to move beyond protecting the ball and make the connections, make the throws when they're there. So I hope he has a great week this week. I really do. I really do.
Plenty ahead. Jags fans, are you Duval enough to become the Jaguars 2024 Fan of the Year and earn a trip to Super Bowl 59? Visit NFL.com/Fan of the Year and nominate someone today. That'd be fun. New Orleans, Super Bowl week?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of New Orleans, though.
No?
Yeah. I mean, it's got some great restaurants.
For the Super Bowl week?
In New Orleans. No.
Kidding me?
I'm not one for that kind of a crowd, but I like New Orleans because I love the food.
Yeah. But you just said 2 different things. I don't like New Orleans that much, but I like New Orleans a lot.
There's a part of New Orleans that's not pretty.
Well, okay. There's part of every town. Anyway, we can discuss. We got a whole hour. We can come back with this.
New Orleans can be really smelly.
It certainly can be that. This is the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app, and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLaw.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Facing cancer takes a lot of determination, strength, and support. And you'll get it all at Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center. Determination from world-renowned doctors, giving you specialized treatment with cutting-edge technology and research. Strength and support from a dedicated team, caring for you completely, during and after treatment. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Appointments available at baptistmdanderson.com.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
And the Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida. We're on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida, #1 university in the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. The Colts and the Jaguars coming up in Week 5. The Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014.
That's a great stat. Is it a get-better weekend?
I didn't say that. I'm just reading stats.
Are you feeling confident?
Just reading stats, man.
Are you feeling confident?
Yeah.
It's a long time.
It is a long time.
It's a long time. You know, and the Jaguars have won how many consecutive now? 4? 4 consecutive games?
Yeah.
Against the Colts?
Yeah. All that doesn't
Could
matter.
this be a get-well game?
No. There's no get-well game.
Not in the National Football
Come
League.
on, man.
No, I know. But, I mean, just the confidence that you have. I mean, Trevor.
If they win it.
Trevor in the last 4
Sure.
games against the Colts, have you seen his numbers? And
against the Colts.
Against the Colts, yeah. In the last 4 games.
They threw it around Week 1 last year. I remember that.
All right, in the last 4 games, this is Trevor against the Colts. And remember, we're talking about a patient Trevor, okay? 78.1% completion rate.
That's pretty good.
7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
I'll take that.
2 rushing touchdowns. And a 109.9 rating.
It's good.
It's good. Sir Trevor Lawrence against the Colts in the last 4 games he's played them.
What was different about that guy as opposed to this Trevor Lawrence?
Which Trevor Lawrence?
The one you just read the stats from. That guy.
He's making the throws here.
Okay.
Okay, the stats that I just read.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's making the throws and being patient. And what we saw last week, we saw a quarterback who made some misses. And that's the difference that winning and losing is right there, is making a play or not making a play. But it's not just him. I mean, it's also, for example, how about a defensive takeaway?
They haven't had any of those yet.
Not one. And so this is why when me and you were talking a little bit ago about, where are the Jaguars at as a pass rushing group, and Doug said something to the effect in his press conference, we're close. And I said, they're not. Here's why. There's 2 numbers that just don't lie. One is sacks. How many sacks do we have?
Not many.
As a team?
Not many.
6.
Not enough.
I believe it's 6. Okay, so if we're close, then we're affecting the quarterback, right?
7 sacks.
Is it 7 or is it 6?
It's 7. It's 7.
Mine says 6, by the way.
Yours is wrong. It's 7.
You sure?
I'm very sure.
All right, we'll give 7. 7's fine. Even 7 is not a great number. And here's how you know that it's not a great number. How many takeaways do you have? I mean, pressure, moving the quarterback typically leads to turnovers, whether it be causing fumbles in the pocket,
correct,
or whether it be a quarterback under duress throwing an errant ball. We haven't seen that. So that's what makes me say that they've got a ways to go to get better at affecting the passer.
We'll dig into that a little bit more a little bit later on this program as well. We've got a lot to discuss on the quarterback side of things for the Indianapolis Colts as well. And when we come back, we'll hear from CBS Sports announcer Spero Dedes. He's got the call this week. And if you want Jaguars furniture customized for your home, check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. Zipchair furniture for fans. Spero Dedes with the Jags for the first time in 2024 when we come back on the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA to not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
The Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman, and it's time to take it back to the 90s. Be at the bank this Sunday as the Jags debut the Prowler throwback jerseys against the Colts. And legendary head coach Tom Coughlin will be inducted into the pride of the Jaguars at halftime. Get your seats now at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. The Colts-Jaguars matchup on CBS Sports this week, and play-by-play announcer Spero Dedes has the call with Adam Archuleta and Aditi Kinkhabwala on the sideline. And Dedes had some takeaways from Doug Pederson's post-game press conference last week after the loss in Houston.
I saw a coach who was tired. I saw a coach who was uncharacteristically stressed with this situation. You know, Doug has always come across as someone who's even-keeled, laid back, a guy who, you know, when the bullets start flying, look, he played the toughest position in sports for years. You know, he knows what chaos feels like. But I saw a guy up there who, you know, maybe he's had enough of some of these questions, you know, who's calling the plays and all that stuff. Now, you know, there's this report out this week that maybe the locker room is not where you want it to be, and maybe there's some second guessing. Maybe there's some guys that have tuned out a little bit. That when I start to hear that stuff, that starts to become a little concerning, you know. So now can Doug and his staff get their arms around this thing before it spirals out of control? Because now, you know, you're in 0-4 territory. If you look at the history of the league, very few teams, maybe I have to check this week to see if one team have got into the playoffs. Okay, so if there's a risk of losing a season and losing a locker room this early, you know, barely a month into the season, you're starting to enter some dangerous waters. So this is a monster game for this club this week. I thought they performed well last week, all things considered, to have a chance to win down there in Houston. But boy, you lose this week and things could get ugly there quickly.
1992 San Diego Chargers, the only 0-4 team to make the playoffs. Bobby Ross, I think, was the head coach of that team.
Man.
Been a while.
Long time. That's a long time ago. Yeah,
it certainly is. The Indianapolis Colts 2-2. They've got quarterback questions right now. Anthony Richardson surprise, is injured again. We'll see his status for this week, but Joe Flacco is a guy who's played for 18 years and carved this Jaguars team up last year in Cleveland. So, where are the Colts right now? 2-2. You are what you are, and there are a lot of questions in Indy, but they're 2 games better than the Jags.
Yeah, we actually had their game against the Steelers last week. Joe Flacco, the guy is just unbelievable. He's like, I think he's 57 years old, and he just keeps coming in and carving teams up. It was wild. It really was. To come in, didn't skip a beat. Their offense changed considerably, obviously, much different style quarterback than Anthony Richardson. A couple of things. Anthony Richardson now, I think they're getting to the point now. He's played 8 career games in the NFL, and he's finished 4 of them. And all of his injuries have come on design runs. So I think they're getting to a point now where they gotta sit and really think about how they're going to handle Anthony Richardson when they play. Shane Steichen's play calling, all of those things that I think they have to consider, because when he's played, the few games that he has played, you can clearly see the talent. I mean, this kid is a potentially elite quarterback, obviously dual threat. Everyone talks about his legs. He's got a cannon of an arm, and he's got pretty good accuracy. I know he's made some bad decisions with some pretty bad picks the first part of this season, but it's all there for him. He's got the tools. They just have to figure out, how are we going to protect this kid when he plays? Number 2, how does the offense now change, not only with Flacco, but potentially Jonathan Taylor's status? Because, a big part of what made Jonathan Taylor so lethal, everyone knows he's arguably the best running back in the NFL, but when you add him in an offensive backfield with AR, it puts the defense in a really tough predicament. When Richardson left the game last week, Pittsburgh was able to really lock in on the box and lock in on Jonathan Taylor, and it really took away Indianapolis's running game. So that'll be interesting to see this week if AR is out and Jonathan Taylor can play. But, this is a tough week, I think, for Jacksonville's defense. How do you prepare? You don't know which of these guys are playing. Are they both out? Is one in? Is the other out? Flacco drastically changes who they are offensively. But I'll say this, if it is Flacco, this is not going to be a walk in the park for Jacksonville's defense. I mean, he can clearly still play, and he adds an element that they don't have when Anthony Richardson's out there.
Spero Dedes, CBS Sports, with the call this week. The full conversation on the official Jaguars podcast network and Jaguars YouTube. And we'll come back in a moment and discuss that quarterback position for Indianapolis a little bit more. And the starting running back has not practiced yet this week for Indianapolis. This is the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
If you're facing cancer, you want a dedicated team working for you. At Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, we only focus on cancer. And we partner with one of the largest cancer centers in the world. So you'll have a specialized treatment plan created by our experienced and highly trained oncologists and surgeons, collaborating with one of the country's leading cancer centers. Best of all, we're in North Florida with locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Appointments at baptistmdanderson.com.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
The Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida, and we're on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida, #1 university in the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. The Colts and the Jaguars, a 1 o'clock kickoff time Sunday in Week 5. The Colts 2-2, Jaguars 0-4. And you heard it there a little bit from Spero Dedes of CBS, but the quarterback question marks now for Indianapolis coming into this game, Anthony Richardson or Joe Flacco. As a defense, how do you prepare when you've got two different style of quarterbacks?
Well, they're not going to – you prepare for the offense, and then you react as far as who's behind center. I don't think they're going to change the game plan a ton. I will say that – if you've got Joe Flacco out there, you're not going to have a lot of read option looks just because everybody knows that Joe Flacco is not going to be a threat to keep the ball. But they'll still run them. They'll still run that look. But if it's Joe back there, you'll take chances at getting after him and not worry about the cost because he's not going anywhere. He's not going to turn and run and go for 30 like an Anthony Richardson can. So you're a little bit more aggressive rushing the passer, whereas with Anthony Richardson, you're obviously a little bit more controlled, wanting to keep him in the pocket because he can hurt you, I think, more with his legs than he can with his arms consistently. So, yeah, it's just different. You just got to have awareness of who's back there.
And then Jonathan Taylor, the running back for the Colts, fantastic player, has not practiced this week with an injury.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch. I mean, he's a really good player. I mean, I was looking at his yardage totals this year. He was on his way to 100 yards in the past game against Pittsburgh, and then he ended up having the ankle injury. But in the last – so he would have had 3 consecutive games for 100 yards. But in the last 3 games, I mean, he was only a few yards short of 100 this past week. In the last 3 games, total 301 yards rushing. I mean, that's dominant. Really good player right there. So Indianapolis has a really good offensive line. I was just looking through some of PFF's rankings. They have them ranked #1.
The PFF rankings. You love them.
I don't love all of them, but, I mean, I watched some of them.
They had the line ranked #1?
They had Indianapolis's offensive line ranked #1. And we're talking about Jaguars pass rush, getting Flacco off the spot, the challenge of that. Well, this is a really good offensive line in Indianapolis. And we need to get more guys winning at a higher rate.
We'll see about Josh Hines-Allen's status. He was limited today, which is a step in the right direction in the concussion protocol. And if he's out there tomorrow, and I think there's probably a green light ahead for him, but we'll see.
Here's something that's neat. You know, we're talking about Josh Allen and how important he is.
Josh Hines-Allen.
Yes. I apologize, Josh.
Yeah, he's listening.
I'm getting there. Getting used to it. His win rate, this is another PFF, just a little glimpse. They do a thing which is called win rate in obvious passing situations. And I find this pretty interesting. And at the top of that list is Aiden Hutchinson. He's having a tremendous year.
Absolutely.
And then you go down the list, right below him is Myles Garrett, and then Von Miller, the rookie Jared Verse, the Florida State guy, doing a very good job. Micah Parsons, just throwing out some names that people will know. Nick Bosa, Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones of the Chiefs, T.J. Watt, and then right there with T.J. Watt at the same win rate is Josh Hines-Allen. So, I mean, we obviously with that number and what we've seen with our eyes, Josh has been good. And his availability this week is going to be imperative. And like I said before, you've got to get other guys that are winning at a higher rate than what they're doing right now because where they're at is not good enough for this group.
So we're back in a moment. Plenty ahead. And we'll get into the injury report for the Jaguars. Get you updated on that. It came out just a little bit ago ahead of this Week 5 matchup. The Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. The Jags looking for their first win of the season against the division rival. And register your furry friend for the Jaguars official four-legged fan club for pets, presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your pet will receive access to exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout this season. Visit Jaguars.com/promotion/four-legged fan club and sign up today. It's the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA to not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank. Advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Yes, it does. The Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. The Colts and the Jaguars coming up. 1 o'clock kickoff time in Week 5 at EverBank Stadium. The game presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. The injury report is in on Thursday. Here is the Jaguars list. If you've just joined us on the Doug Pederson Show, every player that we're listing was limited today. Only Josh Hines-Allen and Devin Lloyd did not practice Wednesday. They upgraded to limited today. Hines-Allen with a concussion, Devin Lloyd with a knee injury. Everybody else limited. Yasir Abdullah with a neck injury, Tank Bigsby shoulder, Gabe Davis shoulder, Evan Ingram the tight end hamstring, Travis Etienne Jr. shoulder, Jarian Jones cornerback shoulder, Darnell Savage quadriceps safety. And all those guys limited on Thursday.
Well, you hope you get a couple guys kind of back from the injured list, in particular Darnell Savage. I think that would help tremendously, and I hope Josh is okay.
Is this real wood you just knocked on?
It's like a
particle board,
wood
right?
That's covered, with laminate.
Okay, good.
So, but it's close enough. It's got wood stuff.
It looks like wood.
So you can.
It's got the fake wood top.
Yeah, but this team needs Josh right now. I mean, he's the pass rush guy. I mean, there's not a whole lot of consistent help otherwise, and so that's a big. Tomorrow, when they put out the designations for the injury, that's going to be one that I will be checking my email to see where he's at. Probably put that. I mean, maybe it'll go down as questionable. I don't know. I don't know exactly how the protocol works. What when they have to pass certain levels to go to the next, et cetera, to the return to play protocol. A little confusing.
What do they do if Josh Hines-Allen is unavailable?
Well, I mean, the only option you really have is to play Trayvon and Eric Armstead. I mean, that's your next two edge guys. And so how will they play them? I would expect that they would put Eric Armstead at left and then put Trayvon at right. But I don't know that for a fact. I would assume that would be maybe the next step.
But now remember, Eric Armstead's still technically working his way back, right, to full go.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't, he had that one nice play early on, the sack that he had. I think it was week 1, and it was like, wow, that was a pretty strong play. And then since then, it's just been kind of the one thing I think that Eric does is that he stops his feet. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't stop your feet. You got to just keep running. And then use your power and your length to keep guys off balance. And he kind of shocks guys, and then he stops, and then he's got to keep going. So, again, I wish he were more used as an inside rusher. I think it's just a more natural position for him, and that's what he was doing when he was San Francisco.
Looking at other guys that can play outside. Roy Robertson-Harris has been getting some work there.
Yeah, he's gotten work there, but I mean that's not his home.
Miles Cole is a rookie,
inactive the last 2 games. He's raw.
On the practice squad, Joe Gaziano has been in the league for a little bit.
Yeah, and they picked him up, I think, days before the final cutdown to play in that last preseason game.
He was with the Falcons in this system last year with the DC. So
yeah,
those are kind of your options. DJ Coleman's on the practice squad too.
I mean, I would seriously consider Gaziano elevating him for game day
if Josh is not available, or anyway.
I mean, it's like you got all these defensive tackles that have been active on game day, but have they been impactful? I'm asking you a question.
No.
Help me out.
No, the answer is no.
I mean, so okay, maybe try a little something different.
It would be different. I mean, now Gaziano doesn't have like a boatload of stats or anything in his career.
No,
but
I'm not expecting him to come out there and look like T.J. Watt.
But you never know.
But if you need a guy on the edge, there hasn't been a whole lot of productivity yet. Give it a try.
I know we're talking edge guys right now, but on the other side, at defensive tackle, former Jaguars first-round pick Taven Bryan, still going.
Yeah, he's still Taven Bryan. He started the last 3 games because DeForest Buckner got hurt in week 1, ankle, I believe. And, he's Taven. He's big. When I say big, he's not big. Like, he's strong as hell. Let me put it that way. I mean, he's 6'5", 310 pounds, and doesn't have any fat. And when he goes straight ahead, he can hurt some people. But the problem is that he'll go straight ahead and the ball will go right by him sometimes and he doesn't even see it.
Yeah, we heard about that here. Yeah.
So
right. We know that firsthand.
He still has a little bit of those issues, and it's Taven.
Yeah. What was he? The Wyoming Wild Man? Is that what they called him?
Yeah, I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
We're back in a moment. Our final thoughts ahead of Week 5. This is the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
For us, treating cancer is personal. We're Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, and we know that every patient is unique. So you'll have a plan created by world-renowned doctors and tailored to your needs. And everyone here will support you every step of the way, so you're physically, emotionally, and spiritually strong for the journey. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Visit BaptistMDAnderson.com.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app, and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLaw.
We need to define a great deal in today's new home market because the so-called great deals that you find on every corner just aren't the same as the incredible opportunities you'll find with a new Dreamfinders home. How about 2.99% in year one in one of Dreamfinder's 15 communities across North Florida? Now that's a great deal. 2.99% interest rate in year one and a beautiful new Dreamfinders home. Visit DFHSalesEvent.com for our largest savings of the year on move-in ready homes. That's DFHSalesEvent.com.
Flight by Yuengling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yuengling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yuengling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yuengling & Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Final moments of the Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida. Our thanks to head coach Doug Pederson joining us in the opening segment each and every week. And Spero Dedes of CBS Sports will have the call of the game and the full conversation with him available on the official Jaguars podcast network. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time. Tickets available, jaguars.com/tickets. Throwback jerseys, logs. I mean, you have these things in your closet at the house.
I do.
Why don't you? You should. I'm shocked you're not wearing it today, or like game day, or the Saturday night dinner. You should guys all wear the jerseys.
We got to break it out for
you
the
should,
Saturday
right?
dinner.
No. What do you think though? These things look great.
I love the Prowler jerseys. It's pretty cool. You know, there was different years of every Prowler jersey. You know, going back to the very beginning, and then. I believe the year that they picked the jersey specifically from is the 99 Prowler jersey. So, but there wasn't a ton of change from the previous years. But it's classic. It's sharp. I'm a big believer in that it should be the jersey of today. But that's just me. I like it because it has the Prowler patch. You know, not like a fancy stick-on logo. It's like a real patch.
Yeah,
you know.
Imagine that.
It's cool. Classic.
Right. And then, of course, Tom Coughlin being inducted into the Pride of the Jaguars at halftime.
And from what I understand, there's going to be even a 90s theme to the music and everything at the stadium.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right. We're turning back the clock.
Cool.
I won't tell you what grade I was in some of those years, but that's okay.
Yeah. What year did you graduate high school?
2000.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So this is before you
right
got
after the '99 season, baby. Come on, that was right in my wheelhouse. Right in my wheelhouse.
Young guy.
Come on, man. That'll be fun.
I still think it's the classiest jersey, and how in the world we ever got to the two-tone helmets and then that uniform during that era. Oh, terrible. I mean, I'm glad that we're back to kind of the look of the beginning, but the Prowler jerseys to me they're hot.
They're hot.
Yeah, they're hot.
Wow.
Jumping. Whatever you want to call it.
Logs,
they're in fashion.
Apparently so.
Maybe it'll change the luck of this team and bring them some good luck.
All Access TV tonight. Christian Kirk, the guest at String Sports Brewery. At a 7 o'clock start time.
That it is.
That's Jeff Lageman. I'm JP Shadrick. Thanks to our entire crew, David Cho, Brent Reaver, Joe Fortunato, and thanks to you for listening to the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.